Hi everybody, welcome to the Rambling Toffee podcast. I hope everybody's doing well this Monday. Yes, another week that we have to get through again, and not thankfully also an international break as well, so we don't have to kind of think about Everton for a few days anyway, for until the game against Brentford. But sadly, from on my point of view, I have to talk about Everton. I have to talk about the game on Saturday. I have to talk about what the expectation will be when we come to play Brentford on in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, typical performance really from the Blues on Saturday against West Ham. 0-0. And again, same old really, and it's just demoralising really. The performance is predominantly in my mind when I support Everton. I love Everton. I love everything about Everton. That's why I do this podcast really. And the performance wise is week in, week out. If they've just been, as I mentioned, demoralising, and just watching why we're performing in such a way, why we set up and why we set up in a way, not just formation, tactics, and everything else, why we set in a defensive sense that just to go out and just to protect ourselves to get a point, just to get a point, just to get through a game. When you're playing against teams that are around you, are struggling as well, and you're thinking these are ideal opportunities to actually get 3 points. The whole point, of football as being a sport and it's entertainment as well, is that you want your team to win week in, week out. You want to see that happening week in, week out. And when you go to home games or away game, wherever you go, you don't want to see your team just set up in a way that you just come for a point. Really, we just come to just settle for a point and just have this negative mentality of being set up just to focus and just to look at that is what our main objective is when we go into each game that we play. And yes, we're playing around teams that, you know, first 10 games of the season, we've been playing teams around us. We've only played Aston Villa and Tottenham, who are teams that have got good squads and actually are teams that are a little bit further up the table. In Aston Villa's exception, they started the season really well, but they've lost a couple of results obviously recently. But they're in the Champions League. They've got a really good team. They've got a great manager, and they're going in a good direction. In the top five teams for this season. And Tottenham, okay, they lost against Ipswich and they've had a bit of a bump, but they are always looked upon. But also the team that they have is always looked upon as a team that will be further up the table than where we currently are. And that's from circumstances that, as I've mentioned in the past and everything else regarding that. But the game on Saturday was against West Ham, who in the summer spent a lot of money on players. Obviously, they've had injuries, but they're playing very, very poorly at the moment. And you, we're obviously not playing great at the moment as well. We come off a defeat against Southampton. We played really badly against Fulham. Obviously, we took a point from that game. And but you think there's an opportunity there. We The squad that we have, yes, we've got injuries. Yes, it's quite a thin squad. I mean, of course, Dwight McNeil didn't start against West Ham, but Decore came back in. Brantwaite started. Thankfully, started for that game. But the team predominantly is set up as per usual. Same tactics, same formation, same players to an extent. Okay, Decore, as mentioned, came in place of McNeil, but Endai was on one side. We had Lindstrom starting. We Mangala started with Garner, but predominantly that squad is the same. Same squad. That we've seen in recent weeks, and so the expectation is that all that set up is that an opportunity there was to get 3 points, and in that first half, what I was able to actually watch the game, and we passing movements, some really good improvements. There was, we were passing the ball around. We were in the central area. We were doing quite well with that. we were getting forward, we're getting in positions, but again, it was the final ball, and again, it's you know not whenever an opportunity was coming for us, we just didn't have the ability to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. I think the stat was we had 4 shots on target in the game. We got ourselves into positions, and it was nice to see Lindstrom. I thought played okay from what I saw of him. Some people thought he didn't play as great because his final ball wasn't the best. But I think with more games, I think he'll get better and better. I believe that. I hope that'll be the case. And if you put him up against Jack Harrison, I think he was doing a lot more than what Jack Harrison's been doing this season. So when he's been playing, but Lindstrom when he had the opportunities, yes, it was fine balls. Some of the balls he got in there was really good crosses, but Calvert-Lewin couldn't get on the end of it. We were all in the wrong places. It was again, it's the same old situation that basically, even in a away game where we do, we set up in a way, obviously being a defensive sense, as I mentioned, but there is a chance to break away and, to on counterattacks, which we did do in that first half predominantly, and you can see it. And but again, same scenario, you know, wrong place, wrong time, players out of position. It just didn't happen, and that's been like it all season, and that just continues on, and that's frustrating. But what really frustrated me the most was the second half. We started again by passing and moving, we're getting forward a little bit, but creating opportunities. I think there was one by Lindstrom which was tipped over the bar by the goalkeeper um, from across from I think it was Ndiaye, and it was that was oh no, it was Calvert Lewin. I think it was on the end of it, crossed it in, and basically he tipped over the bar. But I think other than that, I can't think of any other opportunities that we had in that second half. And it just seems to be backed off a little bit more as the second half went on. And, it was more reliant on the defence. And this is where West Ham came in. I think they had 3 or 4 opportunities where I think one in the first half which Pickford saved, a couple in the first half actually which Pickford saved near the end of the first half, and then in the second half he made some really good saves, and especially the last one in the last minutes, which was an absolute worldie of a save, tipping over the bar from Ings, which took a deflection. That could have been they could have taken the 1-0. Obviously, there's a pressure on their manager at the moment that he needs to win that game or needs to get a result in that game. Obviously, didn't really help him, but at the moment he's not been sacked. But and they took the point, but they had opportunities in that second half, and that's what happened. They got forward a little bit more. They created the opportunities without the Jordan Pickford, making them saves. We would have lost that game quite convincingly in the end. There was some good stuff, as I mentioned in that first half. There were bits and bobs that you can see, but it wasn't enough. And then we do like for like again, back to good old game management from Sean Dyche. I try to be as respectful as possible and trying to see what he's trying to do, trying to understand the decisions that he's making. He obviously brought Harrison on, I think for Lindstrom. He brought Beto on for Calvert Lewin. It was like for like, and just didn't have any kind of an impact. Beto is playing it in a position that is not Dominic Calvert Lewin. He's not that target man. He's basically plays off a strike. He plays off somebody. He likes the ball getting forward so he can get his pace and get forward and go after defence. And that's in that way. He's not Dominic Calvert Lewin. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the reason why I think he gets picked is because despite the fact that he's not scoring goals at the moment, he can still get knocked down. He's still the best player that he can have up front for scoring, for getting the ball down and actually trying to get the players in and doing that shift and doing that work. But in the middle and the opportunities for him to score goals, he's not doing that at the moment. So it's a bit disappointing. But we've talked about this before. Why couldn't you just decide bring Beto on with Calvert Lewin? Go 4-4-2. Just change it up. Take Decore off. Go with a 4 across. Keep Lindstrom on. Try something different. It may not work, but you have to try it. I know he's tried it. I think in the first season he was at the club, I think he tried it a couple of occasions and just didn't work on them occasions. But on this occasion, it's just like he's not. It, it's worth a shot. At the back, it seems to be as we went on second half. Okay, Jordan Pickford made them saves. It could have been a result for West Ham, but Tarkowski got a bit better and more comfortable with having Branthwaite next to him as the game went on. And I think his performance level got a little bit better and he felt a little bit more happier, a little more confident that Jared Branthwaite was back in the team. And it seemed to help the defence a little bit more. Yes, you could say, well, it was a clean sheet. It could have been, it might have not been the case, but we come away with a clean sheet. We come away with a point. We move on to Brentford. But performance was a mixed. It was bits. It was itty and bitty, and it wasn't. For me, the fans who went down to Southampton watching that game, it was better than Southampton. It was better than the Fulham game. Anything was better than the Fulham game. There were good little bits here or there, and I'm trying to see for positives. And there were good things in that game, and that we can take forward. But but the game management and back to Sean Dyche, it, it's still same old, same old. We need to win football matches. The whole purpose of supporting your team and supporting your club and wanting to, you want to see your team win. You want to see your team play well. You want to see. So there was as in that game, the little bits of performances which were okay. They weren't spectacular, but they were okay. But we're in November. We're going in. We're on an international. We're going into a period where we've got Brentford coming up. We've got Wolves as way as a home game, but Wolves, and we've got a terrible, terrible period in December where we're playing all the teams at the top end of the table currently. We're playing, Manchester United, Man City. We're playing Liverpool. We're playing Chelsea. Playing Arsenal. I think we're playing Arsenal as well. I can't remember, but we're playing all those teams throughout that whole period. And for a club that's in the position that we're currently in, we need to make them count. We need to get results against Brentford. We need to get wins. We need to be going into December a little bit further away from the relegation places and actually feel okay that December is not going to impact us as much. But if we go into the game and we continue to play the negative way that the manager is setting up with the team, and this is at home, with the team, with the formation and tactics, and going like for like, and not trying to be different, trying to do something proactive in a game. He can still stick with the way he plays the game, but what he has to do throughout it is to try and be proactive. If things are not working, do something different. Put Ndai in a number 10 role. Put McNeil, if he's back, put him in on the wing again. Try, the Corey just sits out this time. Go 4-4-2. Try something different. Why do you play three centre backs? Three centre. Try that. And then your wing backs can get further forward and do something a bit different than that. An opportunity to get Beto and Calvert-Lewin in there. Try something different. But that's just coming from a fan. I don't get paid the millions of pounds to each, to set this team up. Why should I accept what same old that we just set up to actually the first thinking, to make sure that we don't lose this game. That's the main thing. That's the focus. Do not lose this game. But what the mindset and the mentality, sadly, these players, I just think that these players are football players like every football player, professionally, amateur, whatever, it doesn't matter, want to go out there and win football matches. They want to score goals. They want to play well. They want to do that. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do as footballers. But if your manager and your coaching setup are saying to you mentally in your head and telling you, you are going to have to we're going to set up this way, and you're going to have to stick to what you do, stick to your role, what you've been given to do. So basically, if we are on a counter attack and we've got an opportunity, get forward. But as soon as it breaks down, you get back into position and focus and make sure that they are not going to get the opportunities and that we are set up strong defensively. But the problem with this season that it's not been working because okay, Bramford's been out injured and we've had Michael Keenan who's played okay, but we've had injuries with obviously with Seamus Coleman and with Patterson being out for a length of time. You've had Ashley Young playing that position who's been playing okay and he's been fine and that's great for him and I'm no criticism on my point. You've had but Mikalenko has been struggling and he's been struggling a lot and he's been giving the ball away. Even against West Ham, he was giving the ball away and he's the weak link within that defence as well. I mean, everything's going down that way. And then Dye has been helping him immensely when he's been playing in that position to support him as much as he possibly can. But he's been poor this season, Mikalenko. He's not been, the one-on-ones with players. He's always been great at that, but in positional play and everything at the back, he's not. He's not been performing well, and that's your weak link. But predominantly, it's been weak throughout the whole of our defence in one form or another because players have been injured and they come back in, and we've not had anything really settled. But and we've been leaking goals. We've been leaking goals every game except for obviously West Ham game where it was like a clean sheet that we needed. But hopefully that might help as we go into the Brentford game, and that defensively we're going to be okay, strong wise. But I would like the players that like Ndai, who in his mind he wants to get forward, he wants to be creative, he wants to score goals. I would guess Calvert-Lewin wants to go up there, he wants to score goals. He's not doing that at the moment. You've got Lindstrom, he wants to score goals. You've got your midfield, everybody, the opportunities like, when McNeil's there, he scored goals. He's done it early in the season. You know, that's what they want to do when they get the ball. But they're being set up in a way that they're not being restricted to actually, they have to focus on their defensive work more on their attacking work. And it's getting that balance right, but it just doesn't seem to be working. And if we go into the game against Brentford and we go out there and set up in that way and just focus on that and just be more, cautious and back, make sure that we're all in the right places and right positions, that we're not, that we're not going to, lose a goal, that we're going to be set up defensively. I just don't know. There's got to be a balance there that you have to play it, but it's just the same old, same old. As I mentioned before, we still launched the ball to Calvert-Lewin. I saw bits of going through the central, passing through the central midfield to actually bypass that and not do that all the time, but it continued, and you're bypassing that midfield. You just continue on, and we've all talked about this and about game management. I mentioned about decisions when to bring players on, when's the best time to do it. He continues doing the same thing. And for me, I said all along that we're waiting for the freaking group to come to take over the football club. It's just we need to actually it sooner rather than later the trigger needs to be pulled. And I can appreciate what he did last season in trying circumstances, in situation with the points deduction, with the takeover of the 777 and all the rubbish that was going on last season, and appreciate when he came in and we stayed up on that last game of the season against Bournemouth. Yeah, I can appreciate a lot of what he's done in a lot of ways, but that's how far he can actually. He can't take us any further, and I think everybody knows that. Everybody thinks, but I can't see him getting to the end of the season because he doesn't have a plan B. He doesn't try to do something different. He doesn't try to be proactive with that, with the team. Try to do something different with the tactics or formation. Try something different. Try different players. He's got players that we've signed. Anana went on his way to Villa, And we've actually brought in Endai, obviously Lindstrom. We've brought in players. Mangala's coming on loan, okay, but we kind of strengthened the team a little bit more this season. And because if you think about what happened last season, if we didn't have the points deduction, then and all the who are, we would have finished 11th. We would have been higher up. So if you think as a fan, we finish 11th in the table, you would think coming into this season that we would be pushing for that again. And the fact that we've brought some players in to actually, wingers, okay, we brought in Lindstrom and Neil can play in that central area. It's not worked for him lately, but he could have switched it, put Ndai playing the number 10, put McNeil back where he plays on the wing. But he's not been doing that, the manager. And we start the season poorly, obviously. We pick up a result against Palace. We win that game with a short period in that second half where we got the 2 goals by McNeil. We then look, but then we were unbeaten, yes, with draws, and we were unbeaten for a period. But then we lost to Southampton, and now we draw again. But if you look at the record, it's 2 wins in 10 games this season. 2 wins. It's not good. It's not good. And if that's not a good stat to have, or you can go with 3 wins in since December 2023. And as I said before, as a fan, I want my team to win. I go to Goodison to watch my team win football matches, not to draw football matches, or not to see my team look like they're just set up just basically to just want to take a draw, or what the manager wants you to take the draw, and focus more on taking the point, making sure that we don't lose, and focus on not losing. Where I'd rather take risks. If we lose and we play fantastically well and we score goals, but we lose, I can be a little bit. I can just say, well, at least we tried, and at least we played well enough that I think if we play like that next week, we'll get the rub of the green and we'll may get a win the next week. But you have to be, that's the mindset that I would like to see. But he's he's very cautious, and he's shackled himself, and he just want to let go, and he's shackled the team to not let themselves go and let them be imaginative and be creative and do the things that they want to do for the whole of that 90 minutes. Because if you want, and he wants to go up there and do that throughout the game. He wants, the thing is, the biggest thing is allowing Harrison to play on the left. He's been playing on the right a lot of the time. And he's left-footed. Give it, maybe that's the reason why he's not been playing really well, because he's not been given the opportunity to play in his preferred position, and he's just in any opportunity to play, he's going to play on the opposite side of the wing, and that's where obviously Lindstrom's there, who is the right-footed player. He's right-footed, and his natural position is there. So it's just a lot of things. I don't. It's just a lot of things, but all we can do is just hope and wait. Hope is everything. Hope is an eternal. That we can go into Brentford game, that we can put in that kind of performance, that there is a change, that we are a lot more attack minded, that at home specifically, get the fans behind you, behind the team. But you know, from my point of view regarding Sean Dyche, is that it's just a matter of time when you pull the trigger. It's down to the Freegans. At the moment, if you've seen it's quite there's a lot of issues going on at Roma where they own the club there. Why have I said it like that? Where Roma, where they sacked the most popular manager they had, Del Rossi, and obviously the ultras there, kicking off these demonstrations, protests, and all sorts of stuff regarding that. But if you think of why they made that decision, because of the record he had. I think it was 1 win in 14 or something like that, and they had to make that decision. And they were critical. I'm defending them in a sense. If they were managing Everton, if they're owning Everton at this moment in time, and they saw the record that Sean Dyche currently has, he will not be here. He'll be gone. And at the moment, maybe it's because we're waiting for approval, that they're waiting for that moment. I don't on that front, but the things that at Roma, they're bringing a new manager. three wins in 12 or something like that, and he had to go because they lost again at the weekend. And they're now looking for a third manager this season. And when you look at that and you think about Everton under Mashiri and the amount of times that he sacked the manager and brought in a new manager, it's all been on him making that decision. If you think, well, there might be a little bit of a difference. The only difference I'm going to say, I'm defending it, but defending what Freakins have been doing, what they're doing currently. Um, in our sense, is that he's made decisions on managers that have not been right for the club and have been poor choices or poor decisions by them. It should have been done by a director of football at the time. They should have been the ones who know the football and should have been the ones that making the decision on the manager. I think the only one that kind of excited everybody was obviously Ancelotti, um, but Ancelotti is a manager that needs to be in a team. We were all right. That's remember through the COVID period and that sort of fact. We saw what was capable, but he needs to be in a team like Real Madrid or but the top clubs where the players he wants are the best in the world at what they do, and they are going to come to. Can't do that, Everton. Our structure was not set for that. Um, Hopefully, when Freakins come in, and hopefully some further down the line, when we start to hopefully grow and in, improve and get better, hopefully we'll be a team like that as well. But that's way off. That's probably you're looking 5 years down the line before we even look at any kind of being a club that size. And I don't even know if we'll ever be a club like that, like a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, or a club that basically can spend. Man City is an example where you can spend, players, their salaries and massive salaries, massive fees, and everything else. And 5 years time, things might be completely different, regarding what you pay for a player and what the wages that they'll have. So, but that's the future. So, but we'll have to see when they come in. But from my perspective, I try. I will appreciate in one way what he did in some forms last season, but we all know that he's out of contract and in the summer, and I think it's time for him to, you know, because he's divided the fan base to an extent, and probably the vast majority, a lot of fans now are not happy with him, not happy with his tactics, his formation, the way he communicates, and the way he talks about, why he makes the decisions that he do with regard players or formation or tactics or whatever he does. It doesn't. People are disliking it more and more. They just fed up with it. They're fed up with what they're hearing because it's like an excuse for everything that he's doing. And I just feel that at some point, I think the Brentford, because it's quiet at the moment, it's Monday. I don't think my feelings that if they should have made the decision before the international break, to let him go, bring somebody in, if either it's on an interim basis or and actually somebody that they've obviously identified already, and maybe they're just waiting or negotiating to bring him in, whoever that person may be, and to take the club forward, not just to the end of the season, but into Bramley Moore into the next few years, and have a project and a plan in place, and that might include Kevin Felwell, who I heard if you listen to the Bobble, who said that they are talking to him regarding staying on. My personal view is that I think he should also go. I also feel with the reset that we have, has to take place, that where that reset means that your director of football goes, plus the manager goes, and you bring in a new director of football, new manager, and you could start afresh and start the process of moving this team forward and taking it in the right direction, because I feel it has to happen soon, not at the end of the season, because we will have a very short period or window if we need, because we've got players with contracts running out, and we may have to bring new players in, and it's in a short period in the summer to get new players in and to get that squad up to speed. We need, if the director of football is to stay, then obviously the players that they are identifying for now for January and then into the summer, then that has to have the approval from obviously the Vegans to agree that okay, these are the players that you got. We give you confidence that you're going to do that job to get these players in, and also contract situations as well. Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? What's the plan on that? How that's going to happen? But if you do it with the new manager in mind, and if Kevin Felwell is staying, and if that's what's been decided, if he's going to have input who he wants to bring in as manager, then that actually has to take place. They can go right. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Sean. Off you go. Maybe Kevin Felwell's actually already been in negotiation with the Freegan Group regarding the next manager, and he comes straight in and then takes over and then starts the process. Get the team and try play a certain way, and get us in a position that we can end the season. You know, well away from the relegation struggles and all the crap that entails and what we've been through before, obviously. So yeah, for me, my personal view is Kevin Felwell should be also let go, and they should be. I hope Freakins, while they're waiting for this approval, have already identified a new director of football. I would love that to be the case, but from what I've heard, they are talking to him to stay on. Maybe a temporary decision to let him stay on till the end of the season when his contract ends, and then looking at somebody else. Or as the season goes on, he stays on, and it just like passes on. The new director of football will be announced as we go as the rest of the season goes on. My feeling is that I would love a director of football in place who then can actually look who the next manager will be, who's going to come in. Is it going to be a manager or is it going to be a coach? Who's going to come in? And I'd rather that happen. And I don't know if that's happening already, and we don't know in public knowledge or anything that that's taking place. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think? What do you think? Is the best way for these changes to happen, the reset that I would love to happen. What do you think will happen? Do you think that Kevin Felwell needs to go as well, Sean Dyche at the same time? Do you think that Kevin Felwell should stay on for a period of time while a new director of football comes in and he can actually pass over the reins to him, a nice simple passover of the role, and then he can take over, um, or is it down to the Freakins who will make the decision on the manager in coming in, and they'll make the decision, and then go from there. I don't know. So it's getting it right. It's getting the timings right. It's getting everything right. So when we get to the end of the season and we have the summer, that all the players that are running out of contracts, the decisions are made of where they're going, or they're staying, or being offered new contracts. What's going to happen on that sense? New players coming into the club, if there's money, obviously, to see if there's money available, and so on and so forth before we start the new season at Bramley Moore. So there's a lot of things going on that. So yeah, we'll have to say. Just let me know in the comments, because it's interesting to see, because it's quite in my own mind, what is the best way forward for uh, the club as soon as Freakins come in and get that approval, because at the end of the day, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We only know little bits here or there, which has been leaked out. Uh, regarding the CEO and what plans for that. And yeah, but the director of football is a big one as well. And because he's out of contract as well in the summer, what when do you pull the trigger? Do you keep him on to the end of the season and then uh, change the director of football then, and then move in a new direction? And also, in an ideal world, if Sean Dyche has been really, really good, and actually we were further up the table and not playing the way that we are and struggling in the way that we are, that he could have stayed to the end of the season. But as I mentioned earlier on, with each passing week and passing, it's become more and more untenable, and that decision needs to happen sooner rather than later. And we'll just have to wait and see. But let me know in the comments below. So yeah, and we've got an hour break now till the 23rd of November when Brentford come to Goodison. Um, it's going to be a tough game because Brentford are a good team, and I just hope, as we always do when we go to these games, as much as how we're playing at the moment, as much as what the performances are like, we still have that hope in our heart that we can sit down and see our team win and play well and perform well, and we can have a good weekend and actually feel good about ourselves. That we can watch match of the day. Basically, we can actually watch match of the day and enjoy ourselves, and not uh, the way things are currently. And yeah, so on that front, so I just hope that's the future, that we can see improvements. That's all we want to see, really. We just see our team just to grow and improve. And I just don't like the mantra that the club currently has, that it's get stay in the Premier League and get to Bramley Moore, stay in the Premier League, get to Bramley Moore. You should be on below, instead of Neil status Nisa Option, it should be stay in the Premier League and get in Bramley Moore, because that's where the attitude lies. And in mentality off the field, before the free kicks come in, but obviously off the field, mentality is, that's what that mentality is, oh, when we get in the stadium, everything's going to be hunky dory and wonderful and everything's fantastic. On It's not. Yes, being in the stadium and being there is going to be fantastic to see your team, hopefully the Premier League, playing there. But there's going to be it. But that mentality, the how the club and the people who run the club currently in an interim basis, and the people who work at the club who are higher up, and its attitude to feeling that this is all we're good for. As long as we stay in the Premier League, we'll be fine. This is what it is. We just make up the numbers. And I'm an Evertonian that I supported the club since 1983. I've seen a great championship teams. I've seen some great players and everything else. I've enjoyed being at cup finals and seeing the team winning trophies and being that club. That's what Neil Satter's Nisa Optimum means. Nothing but the best is good enough. And that mantra is not there. It's just to survive and just to be like those clubs that come up from the championship. That the assumption is that to try, they'll come up. Oh, they're in the Premier League, and just hope that they can just stay in the Premier League and become an established Premier League club. But they don't think about wanting to win trophies, wanting to be higher up the table. They don't, or win, get into Europe. They just want to survive in the Premier League. And sadly, that's how the club feels at the moment. That's what it feels like, that the club just wants to survive in the Premier League, where all the money is and where everything is. And that's what he wants to be. And they just think that as soon as we get the Premier League, oh, we're just going to move and we're going to be great again. We're going to be fantastic again. That's not going to be the case. Could be in that stage going to be fantastic for fans and everybody else, and players come into it and to play there. That's going to be fantastic. But it's all about the team, isn't it? And if the team's not well, not just basically focuses on just trying to survive and trying to survive to be in the Premier League, and not thinking forward and thinking wanting to be the best, thinking to want to challenge themselves to actually be better, a better team on the field. Because that's what I mentioned about Sean Dyche, is that he is a manager who just wants to keep the club in the Premier League. That's his job. That's what he's been told to do. That's his remit. And that's how he sets his team up that way, and that's why he sets things up. And it's frustrating for us as fans, and we're frustrated by what we're seeing week in, week out, because that's what we want. We want to be further up the table. And that's when we say, are these players good enough to be a team that can go further up the table? Are they championship standards? And it's things like that, you see, that. But I look at some of those players, and Dyer's an example here, and McNeil, okay, he's been a little bit off the boil, but when he's on it, he's a really, really good player. And Dyer's a good player. Lindstrom can be a good player. Calvert-Lewin, we know what he's capable of, but he's not. He's not signing a contract, and we can all understand why he probably wants to leave the club now and not sign a contract, because what's going on the field, and the service that he's getting, because how it's been set up. It's set up to just basically not to lose. This is the team that's not to lose. But the sad story is, he's setting up and we're losing games because of it. And we may be coming away with draws here and there, but we're not winning foot. We are not set up as a winning football team to want us to win week in, week out. And we just want to be, get that bit of luck, that rub of the green where, Pickford's launch one and it flicks off Calvert-Lewin and it hits a defender and it comes out to Ndiaye and he just shoots and scores and just that's an accident and you just hope that that's what's going to be your winner and what you're going to get from it. Uh, that's the way it is at the moment. That's why I feel sooner rather than late that the manager has to go, and we need to get somebody who's proactive enough and has an ideas and ways that he wants to set this team up, not just to set this team up to want to win football matches and players that want to win football matches and be confident and happy and mentally want to win football matches, not set up to actually just want to not get beat, because that's where the mentality lies. It's just not to get beat and just to survive in the Premier League. Anyway, I can ramble on for hours now and then about this. So yes, just to mention before I go, today's podcast, I'm on Sky Blue like everybody. Most Evertonians are all seem to be flying over the Sky Blue app, which is very equivalent to Twitter, but it doesn't have the adverts and all the crap that comes from Elon Musk and Donald Trump and all the other crappy politics and all the shit that's on that application. I still go on there obviously because I'll be sharing this podcast on there, and there's still loads of mates on there that is still on there. Probably not come to Blue Sky yet, but please go on there. There's no adverts. Loads of Evertonians all together in one big group, and we can just talk about football and and enjoy it and not get all these stupid like idiots who like troll you and throw abuse at you and everything else. You actually have a good conversations about everything Everton, negatively or positively, whatever it may be, and not rip into each other like what's going on on Twitter at the moment. So I'm on Sky Blue. I'll put it in the my on in the description below on YouTube and also on Spotify. So you'll be able to find me on there. But yeah, again, thank you again for your support as usual with this podcast. Just listening and really appreciate your support, appreciate your feedback, appreciate everything that you've been doing. I want to grow this. Hopefully, in the future, I want to grow this further to bring more people on. Like Mark Thomas came on the other week to talk about the stadium and everything else. And I want to bring more people on like that. And you guys, if you want to come on the podcast, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you want to come on, and we can set something up. It'll be absolutely fantastic talking all things blues, and it'd be wonderful to have you on. Um, and then just go from there, really. But yeah, thank you again for the support. So that's me signing out for today. I'll have a break next week, unless we have breaking news regarding the takeover or if something does happen with the manager. But I'll be taking a break next week, and I'll be back for the game against Brentford for my review of that game and whatever else has been going on in Everton world. So on that note, this is the Rambling Toffee signing out, and take care, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye. Bye.